thank you for joining me. I'm Anabrese, and I wanted to just share a little bit about what's sort of been coming through me the last few days in relation to how we're going to move forward on this planet, and especially as lockdown is easing now. You know, there's this excitement building, and people want to kind of get out there and do things and, you know, get their lives back in some way. But I just, you know, I'm questioning whether, like, you know, we're going to just continue on this sort of ego-driven kind of consumerist type of energy, or are we going to use that period of lockdown and rest that we had to make the changes necessary moving forward that are going to actually, you know, build and co-create a better world for our children? Because that's really what it's about. You know, it's about, you know, the next generation. Do we want them to be in their 20s and 30s, you know, the babies that are being born today? Do we want them to be in their 20s and 30s and still be able to go for beautiful woodland walks and to be able to enjoy, you know, the fruits of nature and to hear the bird song and be able to go and see the marine life, and that these things are still thriving? So we want a planet that's going to be thriving for our children, and our children to thrive as well, you know. And I feel like it's a really, really interesting pivotal moment that we're at, because it could go one way or the other. You know, it could go the way where, you know, we have all this technology and we become more focused in our heads and just kind of like get consumed by, you know, the technological kind of consumerist types of distractions that can hypnotically pull us in. You know, we can get very hypnotically pulled in to the things that entice our brains, our minds, and our emotions. And a lot of the time this is done through advertising of new gadgets, the latest new gadget, the latest thing, you know, whatever it is that we think we need as consumers to feel happier, to feel more joyous. But really, at the end of the day, where does true happiness come from? We always have to come back to that. Where does true happiness come from? Is it in acquiring the latest gadget? Is it in spending more and more money on, like, distractions, on mind games? You know, because during the COVID time, many of us did return to nature. Many of us, because we needed her to nurture us. And many people started to go out and enjoy walks and slow down. You know, many people weren't working as much, and there wasn't the same access to entertainments, especially on a sort of more physical level, apart from what we can do at home. But on an out there in the world kind of level, you know, we couldn't go to concerts and the cinema and all this kind of thing. So our entertainment, you know, sort of changed, and many of us did go to nature and enjoy the natural beauty around us and connect with more of that, you know, and appreciate the nurturing component of nature. So my concern would be that, you know, as the world speeds up again, are we going to ignore nature? Are we going to just abandon her again and go back to, you know, being driven and consumed by the external stimulation, the external stimulus of fast and entertainment? So that's kind of just really what I'm asking, you know, because I think that, you know, obviously if we do want the planet to be thriving and nature to be thriving, then there has to be a balance created whereby we are prioritizing at this time nature. We are prioritizing nature conservation. We are prioritizing personal happiness in a different way, you know, by communing within, by connecting to our own source of well-being, by connecting to our own source of existence, of life itself, and finding our contentment and our joy there, you know, finding our joy within, and not having to be so outwardly focused, and not having to, you know, be sucked in by the advertising saying that we need this or we need that in order to be happy. So I'm asking, the questions, putting it out there, what changes do you or I need to make, in order to create a more thriving, sustainable future for our children and our children's children, because change does need to happen, and it's not always comfortable going from what we were always used to. But we've been through significant changes in the last couple of years that are giving us this chance, this opportunity to move forward in a different way, in a way that prioritizes peace, compassion, harmony, cooperation, co-creation of new projects, innovative technologies that can help clean up the mess that we've made, that can help clean up the oceans and prioritize the well-being of all living creatures on this planet. All living beings deserve to thrive, including you and I, but also all the beings, all the marine life, all the animals, life itself. How can we change the more destructive kind of practices that we've had that have not prioritized the thriving and well-being of all animals and beings on this planet? So I do feel that the answer is in nature appreciation, nature conservation, that this has got to be a priority now. And it really has to be a priority for our governments as well, to really put these, prioritize these these points, to make sure that nature conservation, nature appreciation is going to be top of the list, top of the agenda for the governments who have the power to implement these changes and practices, and to encourage individuals to thrive, to find inner thriving, inherent thriving within and inherent thriving without. So that's really my message for today, is just to share, what's, been coming up in my own energy field, but something that I feel is really, really important as a collective now moving forward, is to find our own joy within, and to also appreciate nature and how she took good care of us during this COVID crisis, and how we need to move forward and manage nature conservation in a much more efficient way that is going to prioritize Mother Earth, our mother, our home, because she's a living organism, she's a living planet, and we are connected, we are all one. All of us are connected, we're all energy beings, we're all living beings. So how can we co-create a future that's going to acknowledge the thriving and the welfare and the well-being of all beings on this planet? So thank you for listening. I do appreciate you being here. We are one, and I love you, and thank you very much for listening.